Hi guys, welcome back to Joe's Camera, and specifically the Kgalagadi photography series, where we concentrate on photographing the magnificent Kgalagadi. In this program I take you onto a drive in the Kalahari and I discuss the general information around the Kalahari line if one wants to photograph them, and also some of the opportunities there is photographing line in the daytime, seeing that the line spend most of its time actually at night being active. But before we carry on, please make sure to press that like button and that subscribe button. Make any comments below or ask any questions below, and make sure you share the video if you like it.
That's the Alp River running over there, and we've just crossed that corner section from Tweedevieren to get to the Alp River, and you can clearly see that there's still some rain at 9:30 in the morning. Still nice and overcast. The others must be in the area. And while we're waiting at the line, it's maybe the right time to tell you about the Kalahari line. They are about 430. There's a bit of debate going on. The last count I think was about 430, 440, round about there. In the end of 2015 there was a count. Of course there's supposed to be continuous counts by game rangers, and they need to subtract whatever escape or breaks through the fences and get to some kind of a total. Now I've been a bit concerned about the amount of lines that break through the fences that are not maintained and so on, but the line in the Kalahari roams in about 1,500 square kilometers, the territory of a pride, and a pride is about 11-12 strong. I don't know if it's less now, and you have roaming groups of about 3.8 or 4.2, or in the region of 4 roaming prides. That's sub-prides, the pride that breaks up into smaller parts to get to be able to sustain themselves in smaller groups than rather in one big group because of the prey size in the Kalahari. The male line break away at around 3 years old. They leave the pride, or they're thrown out of the pride, and then they learn to hunt on their own in the next 2 years, called sub-adults, or that you can just see the mane. But in the next 2 years and over the 5-year period, then they grow into real line, and they would then come back and fight or take over territories wherever they'd like to. In the Kalahari they found out that there's a lot of cross movement in prides where the two come back and then they would leave a pride and someone else would take over, and there's speculation that it is because of a survival behavior, because the territory is so small, and of course it's much more difficult than in the bush areas where there's enough prey. So in the desert it's very difficult for lion to survive. It's been found that they've adapted in the desert conditions to hunt smaller animals, and for instance in the Kalahari, the Kgalagadi lion would eat spring hare, porcupine. It loves porcupine. Lions will cross territory, but one of the problems is the small territory, so you'd have a lot of the alpha male breaking through, especially in the last couple of years, out into neighboring territories where there are cattle farming, and they're actually being shot by farmers in quite an alarming rate. The mortality rate of the lion is quite high, and that you find that the females have to roam quite far to actually get food, and she would rather sustain herself first, and then if she feels good or has got energy and resources left, she would go back to the cub. But the cubs are left alone, not like some of the other predators that leave them in holes that protect them against bigger sized enemies. The lion leaves their cubs out under shrubs. Most preferred is most probably the trasibos, and second a very low witgat or shepherd's tree. Now of course that leaves it open for even jackal and other predators to actually kill lion cubs, which happens quite a lot. Now it's extremely difficult for the lion to hunt successfully in the desert because of the terrain, harsh terrain, not overpopulated with wildlife, but indeed smaller wildlife. Look at that stare. of this boykie through the bushes there. He's staring like that because the gemsbok is just over there. Not a clue that the lion is here, and that's how it actually hunts. This is what the lion do at night. They wake up, they walk in the road, which is lower than the rest of the riverbed. It's an absolute perfect vantage point to walk down upwind, and once they see something, hide behind this wall or this side of the road. As you can see from the tracks of the lion there where they've lied at the back, the tracks that I showed you on the right hand side now was tracks coming in, which is a while ago, but the tracks I showed you on the left hand side are tracks of the other three lion, because there were 5 yesterday around the Homewood area, so they moved on further up, and you can follow the tracks for quite a distance, and wherever the vehicle's tracks went over it, you just keep on following, because you'll see a spot where they actually move out of the tracks on the side, or what you need to do is just find a place. You can see on the right hand side there's still some tracks, but you need to find a place, like for instance on the left over there, where they cross a dune and then come out the other side. So you would look at the tracks and then try and pick up with the tracks around the corner, because they prefer to hunt along the riverbed and use the higher dunes. There you can see again the tracks reappearing. It just used that corner as a vantage point to actually look at gemsbok coming from either this way or that way, and it can just position itself either on that side of the dune or on this side of the dune, and that is where most of the lion hunts occur successfully. As you can see over here, you're getting towards a rise. There you can clearly see the tracks of the lion still on the right hand side. You'll have some of them walking left and you have some of them walking on the right hand side, and once they see something, so this is a typical point they would go over, and before they go over the peak of the dune, like the one in front, whether they're going that way or coming back, they would first sneak out, spot through the grass if there's anything on that side. They would get together and then hunt. Of course, one of the problems in the Kgalagadi is the unpredictability of the large animals like gemsbok and wildebeest, because there's no migration. They would go upwind, and when the fences stopped them, they would walk sideways to the wind, or sometimes come downwind, but not that often. And so the lion itself has to adapt to a more opportunistic type of hunt, where they don't or they can't predict the outcome because of the migration pattern. So here, when it rains, and what happens in the circumstance of the direction of the wind and the rainfall counts a hell of a lot for the lion's success in hunting larger prey like gemsbok and wildebeest and eland.
With regards to photographic opportunities of the lion of the Kalahari, it's a bit different, or it's a much different from photographing cheetah. Cheetah, we explained that you can go out in the morning in the Kalahari and you can say that I want to photograph a cheetah kill, and the chances are actually very good that you can photograph a portion of a cheetah kill, and that's where the action of the cheetah lies. It's very still when it lies in the shade of a tree, and it doesn't have the wide range of communication expressions that the lion has. So when one go out to photograph lion, first of all, the early morning light is by far the best opportunity to get portraits, and portraits where the lion is either walking or still playing, either the large ones or between their cubs. So early morning light, and the temperature is by far the best to photograph lion when it's still cool. When it's hot, they lie down in the shade through the midday sun. With regards to them lying down in the sun when most people take the odd snappy and then drive past, that's what I want to talk about, because that obviously makes out 90% of the times that you will see the lion. So when the lion lies under a camel thorn tree in the road, it's not good shots to take an image of a lion with road or tire tracks, underneath the lion and the side of the road. It's really unattractive, and one also always want to remove the man-made structures from the wildlife photography, because any man-made thing just detracts from it. The early morning portraits and the behavior and the expressions of the lion can be captured then in very good low light, and there that low sun and the lion's eye and the low sun on the beige skin or hair of the lion makes very pretty portraits. The rest is, and should not be ignored, is the fact that the lion has got an extremely wide range of expressions that they communicate with. There are the play expressions when they play fight, where the head goes down and the eyes actually becomes more yellow, that mimics real attacks. So you can get images of lion either large or small play fighting that you don't know, if you see the image, whether the lion is actually going for a real prey item or whether it's playing. So that's probably the best that you get, or closest to the action shots that you can get, is when lion do play with each other and play fight, either large or big. And then there's the facial expressions. There's a whole range of facial expressions that the lions actually do communicate with each other. There's the very relaxed face of the lion that's sleeping, that's very at peace. He smells no other lion, and he's totally relaxed, and the female is relaxed, and that's basically a dead shot. But you can zoom into the paw, or sometimes when they do lie on top of each other, the nails do come out, and you can do close-ups of that. You can do close-ups of the lion's eye with flies on the nose and flies around the eye. And then there's the facial expressions when they are furious, when a lion sees something and its eyes lights up and it becomes more yellow and the pupils get smaller, and you can see that it means business. So there's a wide range of images that one can capture there. To me, always the greatest challenge is to get the lion in the environment of the Kalahari. In other words, show him a very nice camel thorn tree, or accentuate the three thorns that stands out from something else. There's silhouette shots where the lion lies on the horizon or on top of the dunes looking for antelope to hunt that comes up and down the river. And sunset, the profiles are extremely beautiful. Then, of course, everyone wants to have a lion on a red dune. If not a lion on a red dune, cubs on a red dune, or at least red sand. What I've always chased is lion that is portrayed in its natural environment, where it drinks of the surface water and not the man-made structures, and with lightning or good dramatic clouds in the background. I got that once where a lion drank from the puddles in the road, and it was not that tough. It's a skinny lion, although still very strong, and it shows you the toughness of the lion that has to survive in this arid desert environment with good dramatic clouds in the background. Maybe you get lightning or a good sunset or sunrise. Because of the location of the road in the riverbed, there are opportunities to photograph lion with good backlight situations, and there one can accentuate maybe grasses or the direction of the grasses, and there the same principles with foundations of composition apply, where there's C curves, where the mane makes a C curve as the wind blows it, the same as the C curve of the grass as the wind blows it, and that two C curves play together. And also with the grass, the mane of the lion forms a composition of its own. It's either very smooth, straight, or it blows into a direction that the wind actually takes if there's a strong wind. It can be fluffy and scruffy. So these are all ways to capture the lion, to portray the different individualism or the individual characters and looks of each lion. With regards to artistic capturing of images of lion, of course, lion do make some magnificent black and white portraits, and once again there with a combination of the backdrops or the environment that shows the environment that you're in. And it is important to realize that a photograph of a Kalahari lion is very unique in that it always identifies that the lion is in the arid Kalahari area. Other lion that are captured higher up in the bushveld, like for instance in Kruger National Park, and the parks up in Africa, you would not be able to tell where the lion is, except, for instance, in the Serengeti. So in the Serengeti and the Kalahari, it's two distinct places where lion actually can be identified on their portraits. With regards to camera gear, if you're not doing video, you're doing cameras, of course, I'm not going to tell you that this professional camera and this lens is the lens to capture. I made a portrait of a lion many years ago on a Canon G9 compact camera. Now, although they're very good cameras, but we could blow the poster up, and it was at the Kgalagadi shop until the other day for all the years, and it's pin sharp. So if you understand the rules of photography and the rules of composition, with today's compacts, you can take just about any portrait of a lion that is just as good as anything else. The post-production work can set that aside from the normal image, but normal rules comply with taking photos, doesn't matter what compact camera you've got. If you concentrate on line images and you want to capture any action on a distance and so on, you go for the 400, 600 and 800 millimeter lenses. But the 200 to 400 millimeter range is a good range for me. So anything goes when it comes to the camera. It is the post-production work, it is the light, the compositional rules, the background, the foreground, and all of that counts. But any of the compact cameras is good for a tourist, and anything else, I've got the 24 to 7 millimeter to capture them if they're right by the car and they're actually mating close by. And then I've got the 200 to 400, which I cover for images when they lay further. But seeing that we don't have the action shots at night because the lion operates at night, not in the day, there's very little chance of action. There are, but there's very little chance of action of lion fight or lion kills. For those that do like this type of shots, of course, when the lions are mating, they mate and copulate every 20 minutes on average, and that goes on for anything from 2-3 days up to 2 weeks. So there's a good opportunity in the daytime because they lie, and then the next second they're busy mating. So if you want to capture any of those shots or close-ups on facial expressions when they do mate or when they're finished and the lioness turns around and slaps the male, there's a bit of aggression there. If you can capture that, it looks on the image like a full-on fight. So mating is a good opportunity in the Kalahari, even during the day, and you can capture that with standard lenses, so close the action actually is. That's it. Thank you for watching. That's a little bit of photographing the Kalahari line. There's so much to say about the line that we can cover that in the next 20 episodes. But please remember to watch the Kalahari line program as shown on the screen above, and press that like button if you like it. Subscribe if you want to subscribe, and make any comments or questions about the lion in the Kgalagadi Transfrontier Park below.